After completing some of the hardest platinums I have ever gotten, I am finally going after the big dog, Resident Evil 4 Remake. The Platinum is a 6 out of 10 difficulty, taking 60 hours and 7 playthroughs. That's what the guide says anyways, but I'm not gonna lie, for me it was a 10 out of 10 difficulty. As always, the first playthrough is just to enjoy the story and get all of the collectibles in the assisted difficulty. The game starts with Leon arriving in Spain to find the president's daughter, who I assume got kidnapped. We have 2 police escorts who are completely useless and instantly die. Leon became an acrobat between the events of Resident Evil 2 and 4. Good for him. He just constantly does the most insane and unnecessary flips ever. We head inside the village and see the villagers for the first time. They are low-key insane. We fight against the super creepy dude with a chainsaw, and a few stressful minutes later, all the villagers have important matters to attend. In the search of Ashley, I got my first trophy for destroying a clockwork Castellan. These are one of the 3 different collectibles we need to get. The Castellans, treasures, and requests. We eventually meet this dude that was inside a bag, and the huge guy grabs Leon and injects him with the plagas. He throws Leon and Luis, the guy that was inside the bag, into a jail. Luis tells us that he knows why we're here and that he knows where Baby Eagle, aka Ashley, is, but he ditches us as soon as he can. Now that we know that Ashley is at the church, we make our way there. Here, I got a trophy for parrying an enemy with a knife. Soon after, we see the merchant for the first time. So far, the gameplay mechanics and how the game feels has been completely different compared to the other Resident Evils I have played. The game itself looks a lot more refined than the others, and it feels more actiony than horror. But I have to admit, it probably has the scariest Resident Evil enemy I've had to play against. More on them later. At the merchant, I got a trophy for completing a request. These are blue papers with challenges, or well, requests, we need to complete. Once you do what's asked of you, you take them to the merchant and get some spinos, which you can trade for cool items like weapons. After stepping in like 100 bear traps, I finally made it to a building. The huge dude that injected us walks in, but Ada Wong, which by the way, what is she even doing here, saves us. I don't think Leon noticed it was Ada, but I just know it was her. We also find out that Luis used to be a researcher for Umbrella. Still, our main objective is to find Ashley, which we know is at the church. On the way there, we see a wolf that got trapped in the bear trap, just like I have a million times, and I decided to help him out. We make our way to the village square and get attacked by a bunch of wolves, for no reason at all. Like, I just saved your brethren, be thankful. We made it to the church, but it is locked up, so we have to find our way in. Start making our way to a lake. On the way there, we see the merchant again and get on an elevator to play a shooting game. Here, I got a trophy for completing a game at the shooting range. For one of the trophies, we need to get an S rank on all 12 of these games, and they are low-key hard. After exiting the shooting range, there's a pair of binoculars that Leon uses to look at some villagers that are disposing of the body of one of our police escorts. And this big-ass monster comes out of the lake and eats it. Making our way to the lake, we fight this monster. The fight itself was simple and fun, at least on this difficulty. He pulls up through the lake and Leon throws harpoons at him. It all happens in a boat. Once we defeat him, I get another trophy. Leon falls asleep for a while and then we continue going towards the church. On the way there, we have to fight a big ogre, but our dog friend helps us kill him. Soon after, we make it to the church and finally find Ashley. I say that, but I cannot stand her. She's the dumbest NPC ever and just kept getting incapacitated or taken away by the villagers. Me from the future, my mind has changed. I love Ashley, she's just a girl, and I was mad because I suck at this game and she made it 20 times harder. This entire game is basically an escort mission. And while that is not usually my cup of tea, I have to admit I loved it. Having a little friend with me throughout all those scary moments, or well, most of them, because sometimes Ashley had to hang out with the evil people, was calming in some weird way. Here I got a trophy for rescuing Ashley as she is being carried away by the villagers. Something I had to do so many times. There were a million villagers surrounding us and I thought my life was over, but luckily Luis comes back and saves us. There is this section of the game where Ashley hides while Leon and Luis fight the million villagers inside of a tiny house, but then Ashley saves us. To everyone's surprise, she can be helpful sometimes. Luis explains to us that we have La Plaga, which is the same infection all the villagers have, and that we need to get it removed before we become like them. There's also a cinematic of Luis talking to Ada Wong. I literally have no idea what they were talking about, but it seemed important. Once we're back with Leon, I got a trophy for upgrading a weapon.
There you are.
Now that we have Ashley, we're supposed to be making our way to a helicopter, but because of bad weather, it cannot land. Leon does the most unnecessary backflip ever against 2 chainsaw women, as he usually does as a renowned acrobat, and we're found by the big guy who injected us once again. This boss fight was disturbing. His character design for the fight was probably my favorite one so far in the entire franchise. Once he dies, I got another story-related trophy for defeating him. We start heading towards the castle, about to leave behind the village, but before we left, I got yet another trophy, this one for getting all of the treasures in the village. To get into the castle, we have to shoot down the door with a cannon. This is the worst part of the game so far, at least for me, because Ashley kept dying. She could get incapacitated by the other cannons, or the villagers were taking her away. It was actually infuriating. Nevertheless, I managed to get it done. Here I got a trophy for using a cannon to defeat a villager. Inside the castle, we meet Ramon, this dude that looks like a founding father. There are new enemies that have shields, and we also fight against this big dude that is blind. Wouldn't be a Resident Evil game without a blind enemy. After killing him, I got a trophy for defeating him using only knives. Ashley hurt us with a knife and for some reason decides to run away, so we need to go find her. There is a new monster, this weird spider that latches onto the villagers and they become the Flash and charge towards you. On our way to get Ashley back, we end up having to fight this big ogre and shoot another cannon at another door. Super original. Totally was not the same as the other time we had to do this exact same thing. Thank God Ashley was not here. We find Ashley, she's super apologetic for hurting us, but Leon literally does not give a fuck. Ashley got so scared in this section she froze to death. Literally, I had to reload my save. Then Leon gets trapped and we have to play as Ashley, which wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. We have a lantern and the enemies around the library are frozen by light, so all we had to do was shine our light forward. We reunite with Leon again, but that does not last long. Once again, Ashley gets taken away and Ada Wong herself tells us where Ashley is headed. Once we get to Ashley, we get pushed down a well into some sewers because Leon decided not to listen to Ashley when she told us to back off. Here I got a trophy for selling an item for at least 100,000 coins.
Stranger.
I also had to fight this weird creature by freezing it and shooting it, effectively wasting almost all of the ammo I had because I cannot aim even with this insane aim assist the game has. But at least I got a trophy for killing it. On the elevator ride, Leon starts tweaking and having visions. There is a reflection on this vision of a dude with a red hat. I think this was supposed to be like a revelation or something, but I have no idea who this dude is. It just gave that vibe of huge plot twist. Maybe he's just a random dude or maybe he's super lore relevant for previous games. We end up meeting with Luis once again, who I think removed the infection or like stopped it or I don't know, he did something to Leon and he now is the new NPC. He ends up being a lot more useful than Ashley. I go back to the shooting range again to get a couple more S ranks. This time around the new ones were pretty easy. There is a minecart section with Luis where it's actually where I noticed that I am not using the aim assist right because I have it on snap and follow, but I keep trying to aim so it like unaims it and that's why I suck so much. But anyways, here I got a trophy for not taking damage during the minecart section. We have to fight this big ogres with Luis, who soon after gets killed by Krauser. And then we fight Krauser for a little, but he decides to leave mid-fight. Luis gives us a key to his lab before he dies, and we go back to the main mission, finding Ashley. We go to the Clockwork Tower and start making our way to the top. I got a trophy here for reaching the top of the clock tower without the lift stopping. I also finished getting all of the treasures located in the castle, granting me another trophy. Once we're back inside the castle, Ramon is there with the other more important dude, and they have Ashley, and we have to fight Ramon. Here I got a trophy for throwing a grenade into his mouth. This fight was super easy, but so has been the whole game because I am playing in assisted. After killing him, I got another trophy. We then make it to an island. Ada Wong gave us some keys because she is a kind soul. I got jump scared by a dude in flames and then soon after by the scariest monster so far. This weird hairless thing that just simply does not die. Like I said before, this feels like an action game more than survival horror, but damn was this monster scary. I also played this section at like 3 AM, so maybe that added to it. There were a bunch of them in this incubation area. Here I got a trophy for shooting the 2 parasites inside the hairless things in one shot. Apparently they can die. Finally, we find Ashley again. We do something to her parasite while Leon is acting up. Ashley's up and running, so we try leaving again. I go back to the shooting range and get a trophy for destroying 5 targets in one shot. These last 3 challenges I got bored of trying to S rank because I wanted to keep playing the actual game, so I decided to put it in hold. During a section where Ashley is hitting a wall with a wrecking ball, I got a trophy for killing 3 people with a flashbang. To no one's surprise, Ashley gets taken away again. Totally not related at all, but one thing I like about this game is that unlike the previous Resident Evil games I've played, you can stealth kill enemies, which I thought was nice. Anyways, we have to fight Krauser again, but this time actually killing him, which gives us another trophy. On the way to Ashley, our helicopter dude gets here and starts helping us kill some of these dudes. But then he just blows up because it couldn't have been that easy. We find Ashley again and proceed to take her to Louise's laboratory, removing her parasites and our parasites there. Now, at this point in the story, I can say that I low-key love Ashley. She was annoying at first, and if I was actually Leon, I would have already killed her from the amount of times I accidentally shot her. But she has grown on me. I got a trophy for getting all of the treasures in the island here as well. Thank God that is over. I also got another trophy for completing all of the requests.
What can I do?
We leave Ashley one more time to go save Ada, who is being hung. And here we have to fight the final boss dude. It was just shooting his eyes. Reminded me a lot of the final Jack fight from RE7. And to finish him off, obviously, in Resident Evil fashion, Ada throws Leon a rocket launcher. Ada leaves in her helicopter with the Ember, Title drops the DLC, and again, in Resident Evil fashion, there's a timed escape sequence. On the way to a jet ski, I got the trophy for shooting all the Castellans. After the jet ski sequence, I also got another trophy for finishing it without taking any damage. We ride into the Beyond with Ashley, and that's game. I can safely say after the first playthrough that this is 1000% my favorite Resident Evil game I've played thus far. The story was pretty good, some things were amiss, but overall I loved it. My favorite part though was the gameplay and how unique and different it felt. I wasn't a huge Leon fangirl after Resident Evil 2. I actually like Claire more, but after playing this game, I'm his #1 fan. It took me 12 hours to finish this first playthrough, but this is only the beginning and the easiest part of this platinum. Before I go with the next playthrough, I need to get an S rank on 3 different mercenary maps. Unlike Resident Evil 8, there are no mercenary specific trophies, but there is a trophy that requires you to own every weapon. One of them unlocked here. RE8 mercenaries was a pain, and so I went into this like a soldier. But it was so easy and very fun. All I had to do was kill enough enemies in the time given. They all just kind of rushed at you, so there's not a lot of thinking involved, like RE8, where you literally had to learn the whole map layout and where they all spawned for an S++ rank. I got my 3 S ranks, obtaining the weapon, and just like that, I went into my next playthrough. With the first playthrough done, I am now a seasoned RE4 veteran. Moving on to my next challenge, playing with only knives and handguns, and not healing, and also not talking to the merchant. Look, I don't know why I decided to do all of that, but it was genuinely the worst idea I've ever had. Another assisted playthrough. I went back to my previous save and fully upgraded the pistol as well as the primal knife so the game wouldn't be too hard, and then loaded into a new game. I made a big mistake though and forgot to make my knife infinite, so literally an hour into the playthrough it broke. Now like I said, at this point I'm trying to not talk to the merchant. Huge mistake, and so I couldn't even repair it. No big deal though, although it was, but the plan was simple. Have enough ammo for the boss fights, run through the rest. There were some really hard parts, mainly due to Ashley constantly dying, and me being one-tapped the entire game because I lost almost all of my health super early. Village was easy, the castle not so much. The segment before you go into the castle took me like 20 billion tries to get because Ashley kept dying, but that was far from the hardest part. The Ramon boss fight in chapter 12 took me like a million more tries. I had to talk to the merchant here to repair my armor because this was simply not worth the time I was putting in. I got a trophy here for getting the exclusive upgrade of a weapon.
That is
The second I got an armor, I beat him the first try. Also, disclaimer, I took like a 3-month break from gaming because of work in the middle of this playthrough, so that definitely made it harder. After that, everything was a breeze. Once I finished the playthrough, I only got the handgun playthrough trophy because I healed before the final fight. Then I loaded my save file, replayed that segment, and got the trophy for not healing. 100% the right decision. This was a breeze. This playthrough was challenging, but oh boy was the last one going to be a million times harder. At this point, I'm not even following the guide anymore. I'm going off of pure instinct. Probably not the smartest decision ever, but hopefully works out. The best next step seemed to be playing the game on hardcore mode to get the A rank and Ashley's armor. One of the most frustrating things of this game is dealing with Ashley, so hopefully this makes for an easier experience. Especially once I have to beat the game on professional. I realized this was a waste of my time once I saw that you did not have to beat professional on S+ rank and you actually had to beat hardcore with an S+, but alas, I have a lot of other trophies I can obtain in this run. I made sure I started this New Game Plus with a bunch of heals and no weapons other than the infinite rocket launcher. I had to sell everything else to afford it because I needed to earn the trophy for not speaking to the merchant. This run was easy peasy. There were a few hard parts like the Lagos fight, and I did blow up Ashley like 20 times, but the rocket launcher makes the entire game a walk in the park. And with my new outfit, I was feeling like I was on top of the world. Unfortunately, the feeling was very temporary. I got a lot of trophies once I finished this run, one for finishing the game in standard or higher, one for hardcore or higher. I also got the speedrun trophy for completing the story in under 8 hours. And finally, the trophy for not talking to the merchant. Another intervention, I wanted to finish S rank in all of the shooting games. I only had the last 3 games left, so it shouldn't take too long. I've been avoiding this trophy at all costs. I hate this game mode and just hate having to learn specific patterns. Low-key was fun though. Getting the S rank is the top 10 best feelings ever. I was doing this inside of my professional run and completely forgot that the game doesn't auto-save, so I got an S rank, went to class, and lost all my progress because I turned the game off. But I didn't give up. I persevered through the storm and ended up cooking these pirates for dinner, getting the trophy. Now I had to play the game on professional. It was even easier than the hardcore playthrough, since I could talk to the merchant, and I already know exactly what to do in every single area, so it was really easy to just rocket launch my way through shit, especially now that Ashley has that armor. Here I got that trophy for beating the game in professional. Before my hardcore playthrough, I went ahead and bought the last weapon I needed to get the trophy for getting every single weapon. Now we're on to the last playthrough, or what I thought was the last playthrough. I've never been more upset in my entire life that all of the trophies didn't pop once I finished this. But here we have to play the game and get an S+ rank in hardcore. All my blood, sweat, and tears into this one playthrough. Because of the obvious difficulty spike, now that I got rid of my precious handicap, the rocket launcher, this is going to be a lot harder. And since I need that S+, I also have to low-key speedrun this. You have to finish the game in under 5 hours and 30 minutes. Things I'm bringing: Ashley and her armor, my aim assist hat, a spiffy suit, and all my hopes and dreams that this won't take me weeks so that I can finally make this video. The game started easy enough, a few deaths here and there, but since I knew where everything was, I was doing fine. Not having to worry about Ashley was such a blessing. I only had to worry about myself, and that was more than enough. My first actual challenge was that giant boss. God, I died like a million times here. My aim assist was simply not aim assisting, and I started to realize that maybe I should have spent more time looting treasures instead of just running through. This became more evident as I progressed through the game, so in chapter 6, during the cabin fight, I made the executive decision to restart my playthrough and actually get some gold because I knew I would regret not doing so. I was only an hour into the game, probably 3 hours played, so not a lot of progress was lost. I decided to follow a guide just to make things even easier on myself because not even this stupid aim assist mask was going to save my bad aim. I love this dude Extria. I've followed his Resident Evil guides for almost all of the games I have played, and he's always cooking. I played again, actually trying to get money and upgrading my weapons, making the game a bit easier. It was still a pretty hard challenge. I followed his guide to go for the Infinite Chicago Sweeper, which is basically just a turret. So we did a lot of requests and got a bunch of trophies to have enough gold to buy multiple rocket launchers for multiple different fights and to get the executive ticket for the Chicago Sweeper to get infinite ammo on it. It's so awesome to see all of the tips he has on how to defeat bosses and how dumb I was thinking that I could have done this without following his guide. I ended up finishing the game in around 5 hours and 10 minutes, so 20 minutes away from not being able to get the trophy, and here my trophy popped. After I got my hardcore S+ rank, I realized that the S+ ranks do not stack unless you play it on professional, so I had to play the game all over again on standard, getting an S+ rank there. And with that trophy, I finally got the platinum. It took me over 6 months to get this platinum simply because I stopped playing in the middle of it. But I'm so glad it's over, and to be honest, it's probably my favorite Resident Evil I've played thus far. I'm not sure what platinum I'm going to be getting next, but it may just be Elden Ring.